Okay folks, Affordable Card Collector here, and I have a message for you. And that is, card collecting does not have to be an expensive hobby. Now, it can be, and if you got the money, then go for it. If I did, I might, but I don't. Or maybe we just have wives who wouldn't understand if we bought a Hank Aaron rookie card. But you can still have a lot of fun collecting and build up a great collection of cards for just a few dollars a month. And I am going to tell you how. Let me start with a bit of my backstory. I collected as a kid in the late 80s and early 90s junk wax boom and was baseball obsessed. Then I got older, girls came along, concerts, being cool, a career, marriage. All that pushed my card collection to the side for many years. I was still a baseball fan, but much more casual about it. My parents tossed many of my cards or gave them away, but they kept the binders they knew I cherished. Eventually, those binders ended up in my house in storage. Then I found myself in my mid-40s with a kid, and I started to show him the binders. As I went through them and saw them through his eyes, it reminded me what it was like to have been a child and the joy that collecting had brought me. It's a goofy thing. They are little pieces of cardboard with a picture of a man I have never met, but they are somehow magical. They connect me to the game. For me, card collecting and fandom, baseball, football, basketball go hand in hand. I get so much more joy out of it when I am actively collecting. I know the players, I know the history, and I definitely know the stats. It connects generations and it attaches us to something bigger than ourselves. With all the craziness in the world, pursuing something as simple and time-honored as baseball card collecting seemed like the perfect escape. So I was back in. My wife told our friends that her husband was now like a 12-year-old. But she could also see the fun I was having and said, just please don't bankrupt us. As I got back into collecting and watching YouTube, I noticed that a lot of collectors were showing off cards that were way out of my price range, or even what I wanted to pay. One guy I like to watch laid out all of his 1953 Topps cards on his kitchen table, and I was like, geez, that's more than my yearly salary in baseball cards. And then he laid out his 1954 Topps Hall of Famers. Our channels would rank the top cards, but mostly give the value in PSA 9 or 10, which ran into the thousands of dollars. And to all of them, I say more power to you. If that is your budget or your choices, that is great. Thank you for the wonderful content. Keep making it. I love to hear your stories and see your cards. I want to emphasize I am not a communist. I am just on a smaller budget. You see, I'm a high school history teacher. I love my job. It is rewarding and a nice quality of life. But it's just not a job that's going to lead me to a Mantle rookie card. And I know that a lot of y'all out there are in the same boat. So to keep things under control, I needed some rules. The rules of the affordable collector. The first thing I noticed is you can get some great cards for a tiny amount, depending on the perspective that you bring to it. For example, let's take a look at two of the greatest pitchers of all time. A Sandy Koufax 1955 Topps rookie card in a recent search was going for about $1,000 for a PSA 3. A PSA 7 sold in September for $6,000. This is not surprising. Koufax is one of the greatest pitchers of all time and a Hall of Famer. Meanwhile, Randy Johnson, who is arguably just as good, if not better, had his 1989 Topps rookie going for $1.12. Also a Hall of Famer and one of the greatest pitchers of all time. Now, of course, we all know the reasons for this $1,000 price gap. Basic supply and demand, the basic one. The Johnson rookie was overpriced, while the Koufax rookie was a kid's toy and not taken care of, and so not very many have survived. Nostalgia places a greater premium on 1950s cards, and quite frankly, one has more eye appeal. I get it. But the affordable collector has to ask, what is my point in collecting cards? Where is the real joy in collecting? Is it to connect to the game, to celebrate the great players, to own a piece of the past? Or is it to make money? Is it to have status? Making money is great, but there are probably a lot better and less riskier ways to make money than investing in baseball cards. And status is great, but I mean, really, this isn't middle school. Very few people care about your baseball card collection or the size of your house or what kind of car you drive. To find joy in baseball cards, you must have an intrinsic love of cards, regardless of value. And I hear this all the time on YouTube from collectors with collections in the tens of thousands. Most say they never intend to sell them. Many would even love to pass them on to their kids. And I believe them. They are real collectors who love the game and the cards and how the two go together. So the first rule of the affordable collector is to understand that the value in baseball cards does not come from money. A third-year Mickey Mantle card is upwards of $20,000, while a third-year Mike Trout, arguably just as good of a player, his 2014 Topps is $1.39. Of course, the 1953 Mantle is more of an iconic card. Is that because of the value? Yes, in part, but it's also a beautiful card, and I would love to own it for that reason alone. So the second rule of the affordable collector is to look for reprints. You can pick up a reprint of a 1953 Mantle for $1.53. Same card, it just says reprint somewhere and it's not as old. Now I know that some people don't like reprints and I get it. They can lack a bit of soul and the colors should not pop as much. Maybe it feels like cheating a little bit. But reprints can open a whole new world for the affordable collector. Few can afford a Cap Anson, Ty Cobb, or Babe Ruth card, but if you love baseball history, then these cards can open you up to past eras. Third rule, pursue projects. Projects give you a goal. For example, I recently pursued a project to learn about and collect the Hall of Famers from the famous T206 set released between 1909 and 1911. Most know this set for its Honus Wagner card, but the set includes 38 separate Hall of Famers. And with just enough of a search to make it challenging, almost all are available in some sort of reprint. Now the real thing would be close to $15,000 to $1 million. But with reprints, you can get the Wagner, the also rare Eddie Plank, the Ty Cobb, Cy Young, etc. for the cost of a decent restaurant meal with a few drinks. And in the process, you get to learn about players like Jack Chesbro or who the real Tinkers Tevers to Chance were. This project connects with history, and history is always a rabbit hole I enjoy falling into. Being absorbed in history, to me, is priceless, and reprints get the job done for me, and I can maybe send my kid to college. The fourth rule is to reject the rookie card craze. Why have we assigned such a premium to rookie cards? I don't get it. Why don't we more greatly value the year of the player's best season, or their card with the greatest eye appeal, or their last card? Take a Nolan Ryan rookie card. A 1968 Nolan Ryan rookie card can be had here for $2,400. But if you knew nothing of value, what card is more appealing? The rookie or 1974 Ryan, which can be had for the price of a hamburger? Or even a 1976 Ryan card that can be had for the price of a Starbucks coffee? Or the Mike Schmidt rookie. Here you can have it for $600. But his second year card, much nicer looking, just him, heck, it almost looks like the same picture, is $6. Or his 1986 Topps card, the year he won his third MVP, can be found in the nickel bin. Again, these much cheaper cards have greater eye appeal and are arguably more significant for what they represent. Why are we collecting cards? To chase cards that others have deemed to have value? Or can we find value where others have seen it common? The fifth rule, and it's probably obvious by this point, is to reject condition, slabs, PSA, SGC, or even chrome or platinum or 1-to-1. In my opinion, these are all just gimmicks. Now, don't get me wrong, if I decide to spend a few $100s on a card, I would want it in a slab. It would assure me of its authenticity. But since I have decided not to spend that much, I'm willing to take the risk. Secondly, on condition, eye appeal is the key. For example, I have this great card from my childhood collection, 1962 Topps Yogi Berra. Great card, looks good, but probably a 1 if it were to be graded, maybe a $10 to $20 value. But I don't care. I have a plain day card of an iconic player. And because it is not slabbed, I can feel the 60-year-old cardboard. I can imagine the kid who once had it in his shoebox. A slab, in my opinion, can be a bit soulless. And since I'm already a reprint guy, where I can feel the old cardboard, I want to have that feeling. Okay, so that is a little bit about how I collect. To review the affordable card collector philosophy: 1. Understand the value in baseball cards does not come from money. 2. Look for reprints. 3. Pursue projects. 4. Reject the rookie card craze. And 5. Ignore condition and slabs. I'm going to make future videos showing some of the projects that I pursued and showing off some of my cards. You will not see a collection that has great value in dollars, but it is a collection that brings great joy to this individual collector, and hopefully to some viewers. So click subscribe to see more comment, and please comment below. I know some of y'all will have contrary opinions below to my very contrarian view, and I look forward to hearing them. But tell me, how do you make this wonderful hobby affordable?